If I could go over again back to my youth, two things: nutrition and stretching. If I added a third one, I wouldn't do that much long distance running. Things I would have done differently if I wanted to grow taller. I wasn't expecting my last video about height gain to do that well. You can hear more about how I accidentally grew 1 inch taller in this video over here. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I would have done differently if I wanted to gain more height. As a person who is 41 years old, in my last video, I did mention that between 40 and 41, I actually gained 1 inch in height, which is for many people unheard of. So in this video, I want to take a walk back on memory lane and just go over some of the things I would have done differently. And some of you may still be in the position to take advantage of these insights so that you can achieve your maximum height potential. For those of you who follow me on Instagram and on YouTube, you see me doing my evening sprints. Over here. Sprints is good for you, but let me tell you, running, if you really want to get to your maximum height, it's not that you can't do it, but you just got to be stricter about other things like stretching. The first point, running. Running is really bad if you want to grow taller. If you look at the physiques of most cross-country runners, they're very often like, 160 something. Maybe they're lucky if they get to 170 cm. More often than not, their torso is not very long and their legs may not be very long as well. Running places a lot of strain on your lower spine. The plates get very tight and fused so that they're not able to develop as well as they can. Especially if a lot of kids who are really competitive during the growing ages of say 14, 15, 16, 17, and you're just training so much and you're not stretching enough, you're gonna limit your maximum height growth. So just going over some of my former mistakes that I used to do, right? I got bored of the track, so I went to cross country and I wanted to be able to do it as best as I could. So I started to think that, okay, I want to have the best power to weight ratio possible. So I actually ate the minimum, trained the most, and the result of that is malnutrition. Malnutrition during my growing years, I was placing a lot of stress on my spine because I was running distances up to half a marathon, putting in as much as 150 kilometers a week. And the other thing is that I just wasn't stretching after the workout. I was one of those who struggled to do this back then. I mean, like right now, I can do this and I can go like quite a good amount. But back then, I was like this. I still remember how like the cross-country coach had to step on the sides and I dreaded it. But the coach wasn't around to press down on the sides all the time. So many a time I was just happy with doing this at the end of a training session. But little did I know that because I was not stretching enough, all these tendons that go inside here are tight after a run. Actually, after a run is the best time to stretch, but because I didn't, they were constantly exerting a pulling force. So if your bones are trying to grow, but something is pulling it back, what do you think is going to happen? Of course, you're not going to get to your maximum height. So if I had known then what I know now, I'll be doing a lot more of that. Which, by the way, the tension, it goes to the lower back as well, right? So you're struggling to do this, that's a problem that you gotta fix. The next thing, nutrition. Are you getting enough? It's point number 2. Currently, I'm like 67 kilos. At my heaviest, I was 84 kilos, touching 85. But you know what? When I was 15, 16, I was 55 kilos. When I was 12, I was actually 60. So that meant that for the next 3-4 years, my weight went down by 5 instead of going up. So that was like a major spell for disaster. Not only was I not stretching, I wasn't eating what I had to eat. Nowadays, I take offense when my uncles and aunts call me skinny because I'll be like, really? It takes a lot to get to this shape. This is like peak shape that you cannot just simply get into. But back then, if they call me skinny, yeah, I was really skinny when I was 14, 15. Many people know that the Asian diet is very heavy on carbs and very low on protein, and is highly imbalanced and highly suboptimal for maximum height gain. I was an extreme case of that because not only was I eating little, I was also taking the smallest portions available. There were even times where I trained without eating because I thought that if I had done so, I'd be able to lose more weight and get faster overall. How wrong was I? As a matter of fact, I was even anorexic at one point. So currently, as a dad of 3 kids, I encourage my kids to get the nutrition that they need. And on top of that, eggs is a very important part of nutrition. I'm constantly well stocked with eggs. If there was anyone also concerned about eating as little as possible, but still to be full and well nutritioned, I say make eggs an important part of your nutrition regime. There's this ramen restaurant that me and my kids enjoy. Over there, there's like a free flow of eggs. So for those of you in Singapore, it's this place called Keisuke, right? Free flow of eggs. I've had as much as 16 at one go. And on days where I have 14 to 16 eggs at Keisuke along with my ramen, I don't feel hungry at all for dinner. So a quick recap. If you want to grow as tall as you can, eat enough. Fuel yourself well during your growing years. The men in Korea these days, there are so many that are so tall. I think their diet that's very heavy on meat, vegetable, and kimchi, fermented vegetable, probably plays a part. If you have the correct athletic stimulation, and if you're doing the principles that I've mentioned in my previous height gain video, like the microfracturing, the explosive activity like plyometrics and sprinting, you can actually outdo your genetic blueprint. I mean, look at the South Koreans once again. Despite having parents who are usually in the 150 something, 160 something height, we get young people these days 180 cm, 190 cm, 200 cm for the men. We have some very tall women there as well. It may not be so much as outdoing your genetics, but actually getting to the fullest of your genetics. Because remember, for Asians in our parents' time, maybe due to the poverty, due to the lack of education or the passed down dietary traditions that is being changed today. Older Asian times, a lot of heavy carbohydrate meals, you eat very little meat with a lot of rice. But now, if you go to Korea, the servings are so huge. It's like American servings or even bigger sometimes. It's a lot of meat, a lot of salad, a lot of vegetable, very, very balanced. I have rather large feet, like, 11.5 or sometimes even a size 12, depending which brand that I wear. So had I not deprived myself of nutrition during my growing years, I think I would easily have hit 178. Although I'm 174 now, and I do aim to become 175 this year. 2. Stretch. Stretch daily. Stretch before you sleep. Stretch before your workout. Stretch post-workout. Stretch even on your rest days. Stretch whenever you can. And stretch when you're sleeping. No shit, stretch when you're sleeping. I used to sleep with my legs hanging off the sofa. Gravitational pull. Maybe that played a part too. It worked for some people. If you want to get to your maximum height, and you're not even putting in the time and effort to stretch, like this, I don't even know how you're gonna get to it. Most of your height gain is gonna come from your spinal development and also from your leg development. So you gotta make sure that there's no tension on your legs and also in your spine. Spinal decompression. It's really, really good. Just hang and ensure that it's really relaxed in your lower spine. Wiggle like this. You can hear some clicking sounds, and that way you know that your spine is getting loosened up. Just wiggle and hang, and maybe you can even notice that my spine is elongating. So spend the time to do this on a daily basis. And as I come off that, right, here's the next part. So as I came off that, sometimes I felt really tender in my lower back. And that tells me that my lower back muscles need strengthening. Because as your posture is getting corrected, a lot of height gain is going to come from posture improvement. And as your height gets longer, you want to be able to have the core muscles to support that better posture. For starters, one exercise that you can do is, the yoga breathing. When the yogis will tell you, suck in your breath, trying to bring your nasal to your spine. For example, that's actually tiring. This exercise, if you do it often, it helps you to hold in your organs, right? So I'm 41. As people age, usually your gut sinks down. But if you practice this exercise, doing several holds, doing this several times a day, you're training your core to hold your gut in and to hold your posture as well. This is known as a Superman. If you can notice, my legs, they're back up here. right? You see them? My legs, right? They're lifted. So this dreadful exercise develops your lower back. Do this. You can wave it, you can hold it. I did some ping bat pong the other day. That's why my lower back is not used to it. But yeah, that actually helps a lot. Side planks, another core activity that helps you hold it in or hold your posture up as well. If you must run, but you care about your height, long distance running, don't do it or leave it to your 18 and over. In the meantime, if you really care about your height, interval sprints are really good in exhausting your body, resulting in microfracturing, and it also develops your core at a very good extent. So not only are you putting a lot of high impact, you're also contributing to the strength of your core, because the more stable your core is, the faster you can run. When you get faster, what actually happens? Your legs get more powerful, your arms put out more force when you drive, and your core has to catch up to stabilize it. And then this gets stronger, and then this gets stronger, and this gets stronger again. So it's an ongoing cycle of improvement. Finally, when I talk about stretching, it's also about full range of motion. I mentioned this in my previous video. You want to be able to do this. You want to be able to do deep squats. If you're already doing weighted squats, go lower. Exercise the full range of motion. Go all the way down. Actually, I actually can. Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, that's the first time I ever did that. I did it on this video. As you increase your range of motion, it's scientifically proven of the cellular activity and the growth of the cartilages. And that actually puts a bigger spring in between your bones and it gives you more height. So while it may be true that people of a certain age, most of your growth plates have closed, but it doesn't mean that you can't grow anymore through other aspects. So try to maximize your ligament growth as much as you can. When I was in my teens, I lifted a lot of weight. I was very strong, and I put a lot of the rugby team kids to shame. But if I could go back and tell my younger self some advice, I would have said, get your strength gains from calisthenics instead, because it helps your body strengthen in so many other ways. You're going to be so much better off. If you have any questions about late stage height gain, drop me a question in the comments down below. And don't forget to like this video and drop me a subscribe. For another great video, watch this one over here.